What's up, everybody? I'm back again. It's your man, King A.D.S. here on the videos, on the vlogs, doing the music back up in front of you, trying to connect as I love to do so much. And today, I'm not quite sure. As you know, like sometimes I just try to let the energy swirl and come up with something that could be somewhat interesting or whatever, and try to get in front of you and share that good vibe. And the reason I try to share good vibes is because no, my life is not perfect or anything like that. I just rather get up in front of you in that light versus the obvious of what could be stressing you out or what's wrong. And sometimes I do touch on those things, but most of the time I try to share something that I've learned or a different perspective to try to make it more of a positive spin as we all try to survive through it, because it's all about making it through. And right now, everyone is trying to make it through the end of the year, all the rushes, all the expectations, all the pressures. And I hope that some of that stuff is going according to plan as much as possible, as that's the sentiment that I would have for everyone. And I hope that mine can go a little better too, as this part of the season work does tend to slow down a bit. But this year has been unlike any other. And I've been saying that kind of stuff for a number of years now, but it just, the cycle every time it goes around, it's a little bit darker, a little bit worse, right? So a lot of things going on, people losing their employment, prices skyrocketing, no end in sight, people acting oblivious to that nature and not course correcting, and just causing a whole lot of drama, basically, for everybody. And so knowing that, and I'd like to just give a shout out to everybody, their family, loved ones. I hope that somehow, some way, in the spirit of the season, not just the season, but in the spirit of humanity, that everyone can come together with their family. If you have close friends, you can come together with them too. But friends, family, all those things, which in older videos I expressed that I feel like those are going to be some of the most important things to try to cherish if you have them, if they're genuine relationships, authentic relationships. And that's getting back to square one, basically, right? Fundamentals, and in an authentic way. And for someone, because these times are trying, my brain's gonna probably skip around a little bit, um, because these times are trying and there won't be much else people can rely on. So hopefully they can at least have those support pillars in their life, coming from someone who, not by choice or it wasn't negative, but I just didn't have that. I would say that it's one of the most amazing things to be able to have. So more power to you if you do have it. And if you're trying to get that kind of connectivity and feeling going, then my hat's off to you as well. And speaking of which, also more fun topic though, it's just switching over a little bit. The Stranger Things stuff is going to be releasing, I think, on Christmas Day, and I have my questions and predictions as well, so I want to share those as well with you guys right now. So on another note, happy Friday as well, and I would like to share my Stranger Things takes and answer a few questions of my own that I had that kind of got answered. So, okay, a while back I had asked, what did the dad do that's so bad? We don't really see all of it, but we do get some sort of picture that there's a falling out and he seems to walk out on the family. And now this is not going to be anything pertaining to the bigger spectrum of what I'm thinking about. Just wanted to throw that out there that, okay, so it seems that there was some kind of turmoil, drama, some other unknown issues, but nevertheless, it caused a stress and strain in the family for some separation. But he chose to actually just kind of, the way it's interpreted is that he walked out. That seems to answer that. Anyway, moving on. Lots of people finally understanding what the upside down is, which is a middle point between dimensions, our dimension and another dimension. So it's a middle point, a trap moment, fixated point in time that's frozen. And my opinion, though, I'd like to add to, that I think is actually slowly decaying too as all the dust falls from it. I think it's slowly fading and is unstable as you hear the professor talk about wormholes and you get into those types of physics and things. And as they talk about it, would be extremely unstable. So there's been other people with hunches that say that the character Vecna is going to be trying to solidify that middle space, basically, is all it is. So the upside down is not where all the creatures come from, is not where Vecna comes from. It's just a middle space between our world and what they will call that dimension X or whatever. Um, Also, another thing I think that I wanted to touch on was the red space, right? The red space with all the red clouds and the house, the Creole house broken up and everything. That space doesn't belong to Dimension X at all. It belongs to Henry Creel's, or number one, Vecna. It belongs to his mind space that's been infected and infested by what you guys would call the mind flayer or whatever, that shadow entity that comes from the other space that's kind of like a devourer of psychic energy and such. So that area is infested. If you notice that it holds on to all the victims and memories inside those vines are telltale signs of what infects areas from that dimension. So, in fact, it's his broken psyche and trauma being frozen with the influence of the other entity. So, there's four different mental spaces. There's multiple mental spaces actually. You see more with Max and her memories. You see the unaltered mental space with L, with 11, as it is blank, right? It's blank, it's black, and she walks through this void of a psychic dimension or whatever. So I think that from that, what I said, my hunch is that without the infestation, that Henry's mind would look a lot the same. Also, I'm not going to get too much into more of my hunches or anything. There's a lot of people doing all that stuff, but I will say this, that people talk about time travel too, or some people dismiss it. I think it'll be used in a unique way. I also am very pessimistic of how this adventure is going to go. Possibly, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but possibly that their plan seems like it may have a chance, but then they're just gonna get rocked. Everybody, like almost everyone, is gonna, be, deleted or whatever, and then they will have to bend time in order to set things right. Not only that, in order to do that would take a large amount of energy, right? Just about the amount of energy that it takes to stabilize that area to destabilize it. And if we notice one small detail, is that whenever 11 uses her powers, when she gets weakened, right? People know that, the nosebleeds, all that kind of stuff. But I did notice something. I don't know if it's key factor, but I did make an observation that I have a hunch that it was a season one when she fights the Demogorgon and and disintegrates, and she disintegrates with it. I think it's because she was running on fumes, and I think there's a possibility that in order to make this final burst of energy, that she'll already be weak. There'll be no coming back. She will dematerialize into not nothing, but possibly like that movie Lucy, kind of like everywhere and nowhere all at once, right? Um, so she could exist in another plane, just not in our plane. And at times you would get hints of her bleeding through other dimensions into ours as a whisper that they still exist on some level, somehow, some way. So that's just my creative take on it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm very curious to see what will happen. Um, you know, but just, I just wanted to throw that out there. Also, moving on to another topic, something that I touched on in the past, something about predictions, that I would go out on a limb and see what it was that I can foresee coming, but not because I feel like I have Montauk powers or anything like that, but from the way the cards seem to be laid out and the hunches that were coming. And I had threw myself out there, and I mentioned that in this time period, I think that we have the possibility of creating the most trash that we've ever seen. And I think the video was, when it's all said and done, we'll be the ones to pick the pieces back up or something of that nature. When it's all over, we'll be the ones to rebuild, because all these ideas have been like fast money grabs and stuff that's out there. But like, something is going to cause the worst fallout ever, and we will make the most trash. And I think that was revolving around, I think other people's discussions these days I just saw recently were revolving around AI being like one of the biggest letdowns or something like that. I've been trying to find ways to use AI in my life. There's only been a few things that it can, help me with, but other than that, hasn't been too much of a factor for the things that I do. So, sure, I'd like to find more ways to use it creatively or in some practical sense. You know what I mean? Not gonna hate on anything, not gonna knock it, not gonna have that kind of attitude. Just trying to say, in practicality sense, so far hasn't really found its way into my routine or life that much. I like innovation, I like the process. And but yeah, but nevertheless, some people are accrediting AI to like an imminent crash, like they're saying it hit a wall already or whatever. These are things that are going on out there. I'm just chiming in. But if that's the case, let's just say that is the case, then yes, we would be set up for an unproportionate crash that we have never seen ever. And that will ensure that those ideas, a lot of them will be scrapped because they were impractical, and we will go back to practicality as it wins most of the time. And we will keep some ideas, and a lot of those ideas will probably get scrapped, so there'll just be a bunch of trash. And that's what I was touching on in the older video, was that like that's happened in the 80s too. There were like a lot of cool things that came out, but then there was a lot of stuff that was just like, we could just like, not that big of a deal. We can come back around to it. Certain things that we did because it made sense, and other things we didn't do or held off on because it made sense, right? So like, I think that that's what it is. Like, we kind of just went off the rails with all these new toys, and it seems like overwhelmingly cool, and it's like, whoa, we're all on cloud nine. But then we come back down to earth eventually. We're on the fun balloons going up, 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 but then eventually the helium wears out. We come back down to earth and say, hey, wait a minute, just not maybe the best option all the time. So just wanted to touch on a few things, and I hope I hope everything's going great around you. It's Friday. Happy Friday again. And please like the video, share the video, come along for the ride, subscribe, all that stuff. King A.D.S, a music guy, first and foremost. Check out all my material, King A.D.S. Check out Cosmic Rock Box. Check out Theta Mob, check out The Almighty Grind, check out the Bar Sweat and Years mixes, check out Legacy Family, Immortal Carols, check out Legacy Family, Immortal Eternal Volume 1, and more to come. I love you guys. You guys are the best. I hope that you're striving and living and, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.